I'm Erik Schatzker, an editor-at-large here at Bloomberg in New York City. And with me today is Ruth Porat, the Chief Financial Officer at Alphabet. Ruth, it's great to see you.
It's great to be with you, and greetings from the Googleplex.
Ruth, I don't really have to say it, but I'm going to anyway. The pandemic has massively accelerated the digitization of industry and of the workplace. And I want to know, how is Google taking advantage of this golden opportunity?
Oh, you're absolutely right. There has been a dramatic acceleration in the digital transformation. Trends that were playing out over a number of years have really been telescoped in, and you can see it in commerce, you can see it in content, entertainment, education, you can see it in telehealth, you can see it even in the way we're having this conference today and the way we all work. And I think one of the important points for everyone is that we don't see the clock turning back. We do see that these trends will continue to endure, and I think it's really important for each one of us to consider how we can embrace digital tools and technology to support both revenue opportunities and efficiencies in our own business. So, for example, and to your question, when we look at small, medium businesses, which are the backbone of economies, what we saw during the pandemic is 1 in 3 small businesses said they would not have survived if they did not have digital skills, because it enabled them to immediately pivot and find their customers where they were in the online world, to get them the information they needed to talk about things like delivery or changed hours. And so these digital skills were absolutely imperative for survival. If you look at governments and businesses large and small, one of the opportunities is you saw with this surge in the move to digital activity that there was also a surge in online customer support inquiries. But at the same time, people were taking their own customer support teams home. And so what we were implementing is a contactless customer support system that was powered by AI. And so with incoming inquiries in multiple languages, we could do triage and answer most of the questions, but then provide support manually where needed. And so this is just a tremendous operating uplift for companies. So the main thing is there are many ways, both on the revenue upside and on efficiencies, that are going to be increasingly critical, and everybody needs to look at opportunities to embrace it.
Ruth, you're absolutely right that the clock isn't turning back. As the lockdowns and the restrictions end here in the United States, and sadly, so very slowly elsewhere, everybody wants to get back to normal. But the new normal isn't going to be the same as the old normal. What strike you as the biggest, most significant changes in the way that companies do business and rely on technology that will end up being permanent and not temporary?
Well, I think there are 2 parts to your question. One is, how do we each think about what the work environment is? And at Google, what we've said is we do believe in the value of space, bringing people together for collaboration, for training, for coaching, and there's a productivity element. But there's also a productivity benefit for people working from home. So we're looking at a hybrid work environment. And very much to your question, technology will play a critical part of that. One of the reasons it was relatively seamless for us to pivot to work from home is because we benefit from Google Workspace, which are collaborative tools, collaborative docs. We're all in the doc together, presentations, our ability to communicate with one another. And technology is going to continue to be one of the cornerstones of what is a hybrid work environment. How does it work? If we want to be a magnet for talent and have a work environment that has this hybrid mix, we need to be able to have technology solutions and tools that allow what we're calling technology equity, so that if somebody's in the room or not in the room, you can still have the kind of discussions that are needed. So yes, absolutely, technology will be a key part of those solutions moving forward.
Every CFO like you, and every CEO for that matter, is trying to figure out how to strike the right balance when it comes to things like real estate and the tools that you provide your employees to be able to function in this kind of hybridized work environment. Share with me your thoughts on that front.
So there are plenty of elements of it. When you talk about real estate and how we're using real estate, we're basically doing the floor plan so that if we're bringing people into the office, it's for collaboration and productivity. So what we're doing is building spaces that can move much more flexibly and nimbly, so that when you're in the office, you're in teams. as I said, technology is a key part of this. So we've created things that we're looking at, like campfire circles, where you have video screens, video monitors in a circle around the room so that people have equal access if they're unable to come in to the office. And so one of the key elements will continue to be, how do we use these tools, both video and as well as all of the Google Workspace docs, in order to enable productivity and collaboration globally.
Ruth, the race, I would call it a race, to deepen relationships with customers and consumers is a fiercely competitive one. What is Google doing strategically or tactically, perhaps, that is different from what your competitors, the Microsofts, the Amazons, and the Facebooks are doing that you think ultimately is going to play to your advantage?
Well, I think each of us has our unique differentiators. You know, one of the main things that we're focused on is how can we stay close to our users and customers and provide them with the tools and skills that they need to be most effective as the world continues to accelerate in this digital transformation. And our ability to leverage differentiated AI has been helpful for all of our customers, for users. You know, people don't even appreciate how often they're using AI in every day. So for those of you who are traveling around the world and opening up now to more travels, when you look at natural language translation, that benefits from AI. When you're asking the question of how do I get to find a store near me that's offering the services or products I want, again, we benefit from AI. So on the user side, really critical. On the enterprise side, what we're really excited about is the investments and opportunity in our cloud business. And our cloud business really is benefiting from extraordinary data analytics, the AI behind that, and then we've brought in talent to focus on very industry-specific solutions. So for example, in financial services, my old home, one of the key pain points was always the manual intensity around risk and risk analytics. We can leverage things like Know Your Customer or anti-money laundering with AI and data tools. So those are important, and we go to customers and it's like, here's how we can help either with revenue upside or efficiencies, leveraging the tools that we have. Same across retailers. They're looking at how can they ensure that they've got the best supply chain management when we've all lived through what we've seen. And so again, the benefit of AI. So we're looking across the board. I would say the other element of it is how can we be most supportive to the communities in which we operate? And part of that is ensuring that we're working around the globe to provide digital skills training to people so that everyone can participate in this rapid digital transformation.
You mentioned cloud computing. People who pay attention to such things, Ruth, would note that at least as measured by revenue, let's call it, or the size of your business, Google's cloud computing business is in third place behind Amazon and behind Microsoft. Do you see this digital acceleration as the key to closing that gap?
I think it's an assist. I think that we would have, we're really proud of the momentum in the business that we had even prior to COVID. And clearly what companies are seeing going through COVID is the digital acceleration and the uplift they get, the ability to leverage the meaningful investments that we and others have made to provide the tools and the compute capacity that's needed. So, you know, for us, I think our differentiator, as I said, is not just the data and analytics and the AI. We also provide the ability to work in a multi-cloud environment, which we're increasingly hearing customers want, both for risk management and regulatory reasons, but as well so that they can benefit from the best of solutions anywhere. And our team around the globe is focused on what are the key solutions that are needed by industry vertical. We're excited about the strength of our compute capacity. We've been building that out over decades. We actually have the greenest cloud out there, so customers working with us are able to benefit from the fact that we have been carbon neutral since '07 and are well on our way to powering 100% of our data centers with renewable energy by 2030. And we're really excited about how we're building out around the globe. We announced in Qatar in particular a center of excellence. We have a data center that's going to support all of the activity, the growing activity that we're seeing in the Middle East and Africa. So that enables people to run their workloads locally. And we're similarly supporting a digital skills training effort with Qatar Center of Excellence so that people can get the skills they need to participate in this cloud upside.
Ruth, I know how important it is to you that this recovery out of the pandemic be an inclusive one that creates high-value jobs. So much of the national dialogue right now is about inequality, the inequality exposed by the pandemic. Yet if the past is any guide, it's so easy to be cynical that anything is going to change for the better. Do you think this time is different? And if so, why?
It has to be. Just the depth of pain that we saw in this pandemic was unprecedented. And what you clearly saw is the pandemic put a harsh spotlight on the implications with inequity in society. You saw the most marginalized, the impact on jobs, on health, survival rates, on education, and it's just unacceptable. And I think for all of us, if you want to have sustainable growth, it must be inclusive growth. It's not just the right thing to do, but it supports economic growth for the long term. And so one of the areas that we've been very focused on, as I've already noted, is ensuring that everyone has equal access to the opportunities for jobs of the future, the jobs of today and the future. And those are going to be digital based. So we started a digital skills program, digital skills training program a number of years ago. It's called Grow with Google. And what's extraordinary about it is with no prior experience, within 3 to 6 months, we can train you in things like IT support or user experience or data analytics. And what we've done over the years is we started this program so that we could train people for our own IT program. And then we said, you know, if we make a certificate that's portable to other companies, it's going to be more useful to more people. And then we said, well, let's build a consortium so that it's actually accepted by more companies. We now have over 130 companies in the consortium. And we're really excited about the pace of this, the take-up of it. We think it's one of the critical ways to increase access to opportunity. In the Middle East, we've trained over 1.7 million people so far and businesses, and we're committed to continuing this digital skills training program. I've personally opened some of our centers, and you just see it's profound when people see they have a future. They have the access to jobs of the future.
Ruth, one element of the inequality and unfairness debate is tax policy. And as you're well aware, Google is one of the multinationals targeted by the G7 deal, I should say, or at least agreement on a 15% minimum tax. Is 15% enough to prompt a change, in the way that Google structures its business for tax purposes?
Well, I think importantly, Alphabet is already one of the largest taxpayers in the US, and we have been paying taxes at the OECD average rate for about the past 10 years. A couple of years ago, we did restructure our international tax structure, so all of our international IP is back in the US. And so we've been looking at the OECD proposal and are very supportive of it. We actually think it's critical to have an international framework that is durable and believe that the OECD approach really provides that type of anchor that's needed. And the two pillars to reapportion tax revenues across more countries and to provide a global minimum, we're supportive of, because we think without something that is durable like that, we're going to continue to see a race to the bottom. So we're very supportive of this, and we're already paying taxes, and as I said, in line with the OECD average.
As many people know, Google was sued for antitrust violations in the final months of the Trump administration. Ruth, has the government's posture changed since Joe Biden took office?
Look, I think overall there's a focus on any of the businesses that continue to do really well here. In our view is we want to be very engaged and make sure that we're working closely with regulators to address any of the questions and issues that they may have. Our fundamental point is that people come to Google because they want to, not because they have to, and we are very focused on engaging on all of these issues.
Has that contentious regulatory environment had an impact on companies' business or its ability to make acquisitions?
Yeah, our approach, I think, is let our legal and policy teams really focus on engagement on all of these issues and continue to have engineers innovating to deliver for users, for businesses, for governments, for the communities around the globe. And that's how we've continued to say, what is it that we can be doing? What more can we be doing? As I've said, many times on areas like privacy, we very much share the view of regulators, users, that privacy is sacrosanct. We were early to create privacy tools, believe in national privacy legislation in the U.S., and continue to up what we're doing around issues like privacy. Same with security. So there are plenty of areas where you will continue to see us upping what we're doing, because we're trying to make sure we're delivering for users, for communities, for governments.